Ok, allez. Donc bonjour, bienvenue, bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, c'est le mardi 30 mars. Donc les objectifs pour aujourd'hui, c'est genre la fin du module. C'est la fin de ce module. Hein, donc, je peux distinguer entre être et avoir. Je peux employer le passé composé. Je peux m'exprimer avec le passé composé. Et puis, je peux comprendre des messages SMS et répondre à des messages SMS. Et là, on va en parler tout à l'heure. Okay? Voilà. On commence avec un échauffement, comme d'habitude. On va s'entraîner, il y a un petit rappel, et puis je vais vous parler de la fin du semestre et à demain. Okay? We also have Wildcats advisory today. So as soon as the French portion is done, we'll jump into Wildcats advisory, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Well, at the end of class. Ok, donc pour un échauffement, qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? Donc pendant les vacances, j'ai fait quoi? Donc par exemple, moi, pendant les vacances, j'ai joué aux jeux vidéo. Nous avons regardé, donc Madame Panzel et moi, nous avons regardé le film Transperce-Neige. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez ce film, Transperce-Neige. C'est un film assez intense, assez sérieux. Et puis pendant les vacances, j'ai beaucoup écrit et j'ai beaucoup travaillé. J'ai beaucoup travaillé. Et toi? Et toi? Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? Qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant les vacances? And I'd love to hear folks speak up. I'll pause recording. We talked about it a long time ago, but I don't know if you've forgotten or you've just gotten so used to seeing it. Échauffement. Chauffer is to heat. So échauffement, échauffer, to You got it. It's a warm-up. Yeah, it's a warm-up. Just to get y'all speaking a little bit of French, or at least like practicing, maybe in writing some French and stuff like that. Right, yeah, warm-up. Yeah. OK, très bien. Un petit rappel, hein? About half of y'all have turned this in. So if you are one of those people, you're golden. Good on you. But the other half still haven't turned this in just yet. And it's a chunky grade. It's a little chunk of the grade. So definitely get that taken care of. So I'd really want to encourage you all to finish that up tonight if you haven't already finished it, turned it in. And again, you're just taking different pieces from the columns and putting them together in a way that makes sense. And all the class recordings are available on YouTube. So if it's unclear, you can always check that out. And you can always reach out too. I'm always happy to help you understand it. All right, so just a little reminder, please make sure to get that done. A couple people are still missing the recording, which is another big thing. In the interest of finishing the semester strong, in the interest of finishing the quarter strong, I want to really encourage you all to really try to step up and really finish strong this week. I know that's a lot. I know that you got a lot going on, but I really want to help encourage you to finish strong so you're not taking stuff into quarter four. So you can just focus on your quarter four classes. Okay, être et avoir. Être et avoir. So for today, what I wanted to do is to go through and review some of the stuff that we did last week and invite you all to do this practice activity. All right? Okay. Être et avoir. Okay, donc le passé composé, this is all stuff we did last week, but I'm just going to go through it again, okay? In French, we use the passé composé to describe an action that had a clear start and end in the past. Okay, so this is a really helpful tense for if you're talking about like what you did watch, right? Like some of y'all talked about, oh, j'ai regardé la télé. So I watched this. J'ai regardé le film Transperce-Neige, right? Ou je n'ai pas regardé, right? Etc., etc., right? So things that clearly started and ended in the past, right? And usually you're going to get these little words, right? These words that kind of give you a little flag like, hey, heads up, like this is a very specific time in the past. Last night, right? Over break, over vacation. We all had that vacation last week. So last week, that was a very specific time, right? 2 years ago, right? So you're going to want to use this for times, and this is going to be a really helpful thing to have in your pocket in French to express something that you did in the past that started and ended. All right? Donc, hier soir, je n'ai pas regardé la version Jack Snyder. Jack Snyder? Okay, okay. I was like, for some reason, I thought I was confusing him with somebody else. Okay. Il y a 2 ans, Mademoiselle Panzel et moi, nous nous sommes mariés. La semaine dernière, je suis tombé et je me suis ferré la dent. Okay? So these are all examples of the passé composé, right? For these like really specific things that happened in the past. And again, with this unit, I'm not saying, okay, you gotta totally master this 100%, but I want you all to get introduced to this and get familiar with it so you can understand it and even use it with some expressions, right? We've practiced those expressions like je suis allé, j'ai vu, j'ai regardé. All right. Okay. So this is kind of how sentences go in French, right? There's a subject and a verb. Sometimes there's a subject, a verb, and object, right? So sometimes there's a subject and verb, just a subject and verb. Je vois. Sometimes there's an object too. Je vois le chat. Je vois le chat. Meow. Noah, please put the phone away. Oh, okay, my bad. Donc, je vois. Okay, so we've got the verb. Je vois le chat. All right. With the passé composé, that's going to stay the same, right? So we've got je vois le chat. I see the cat. Not super interesting, right? Je vois le chat. Same thing's going to happen with the passé composé, but the verb's going to look a little different. J'ai vu le chat. J'ai vu le chat. Right? And right here we've got is, we call this un verbe auxiliaire. C'est un verbe auxiliaire, an auxiliary verb. You don't have to memorize that, okay? But I just want y'all to know that there is this little thing that you're composing, right? It's called the composed past, le passé composé. So you've got this auxiliary verb, and then you've got the participe passé. J'ai vu. Okay, so please take a moment. I'll go ahead and pause recording, and I'll ask you to annotate the screen. Entourer le verbe auxiliaire dans ces phrases. Entourer le verbe auxiliaire dans ces phrases. Ok, excellent. Oui, très bien. Hein? Tous les verbes en rouge, c'est exact. C'est super. Ok. Et c'est quel verbe ici? Je n'ai pas regardé. Do y'all recognize that verb? Nous avons, tu as, elles ont. Does anybody know what verb that is? It's its own verb. Right? J'ai beaucoup d'argent. Nous avons beaucoup de temps. Tu as 30 ans. Tu as 15 ans. Tu as 16 ans. Moi, j'ai 30 ans. You know what verb that is? Any ideas? Oui, très bien. Oui. Hein, le verbe avoir. C'est le verbe avoir, to have. It's gonna go. Nope. Where's that verb? I have an animation set up, so I'm trying to go to the next slide, but it's not cooperating. No. Bummer. Oh, because I'm trying to annotate, that's why. Okay. Oui, c'est le verbe avoir, to have. Okay, avoir, to have. J'ai 15 ans. So you already know this, right? Because we talked about when you're talking about how old you are. In French, remember, you don't use I am, but you say I have, right? So j'ai 15 ans. I am 15, or I have 15 years, right? So that's the verb avoir, the verb avoir. All right, here we're going to see something a little funky, a little different. Let's try the same thing again. Donc maintenant, entourer le verbe auxiliaire dans le paragraphe suivant. And it's going to be a little different. So go ahead and take a look and just look for things that you think are the passé composé, and specifically the auxiliary verb. Okay, bien. We have a few good guesses here. J'adore, a, avons, la, aller. All right. So avons is one of the correct ones. Okay, so avons is one of the auxiliary verbs. And we saw avons in the previous slide, right? Avons. Très bien. Okay. Aller, you're close. You're close. Aller is the participe passé. So nous sommes allés. Nous sommes allés. Some is going to be the auxiliary verb. All right. I didn't know quite how this would go. I didn't know if you'd pick it up real fast or if you'd struggle with this one. It's all good. All right. What I'm trying to do here is just to show you these patterns. So with the passé composé, être. So here we've got nous sommes allés. Nous sommes allés. Nous sommes grands. Nous sommes petits. Nous sommes allés. I'm trying to look at another example. Nous sommes arrivés. It's a lot of nous, but you could imagine describing yourself. Je suis grand. Je suis petit. Je suis beau. Maybe you're beautiful. Je suis beau, right? This is a verb that you are kind of familiar with. Être. You may not be super familiar with it in this context, but I'm just trying to get your attention and help you understand that there is this pattern where we're using être and avoir with the passé composé. Okay, so before break, I asked y'all to complete this GIM kit. And so what I'd like you to do is to complete it now. I don't think it got communicated. And go ahead and try to complete it as best you can. Basically, it's just an activity in guessing, right? And in getting kind of, you're going to use strategies to try to figure out, oh, okay, this answer was wrong. Maybe it's this answer. And the great thing about GimKit is it's quick, right? So you'll go through it quickly and you'll see your answers immediately and be like, oh, okay, that was the wrong one. Let me pick the right one. And so once you finish that, we'll then go over and I'll show you how to conjugate these verbs, okay? Again, this is not something that you have to master right now, all right? I'm not asking you to master it, but I want you all to get pretty familiar with être and avoir. And in French 3, I'll ask you, hey, do you have être and avoir mastered? No? Okay, let's master it. Let's make sure we have it down pat so that then you can really get good with using the passé composé, because these are kind of your keys. If you don't have être and avoir, you don't have a key to open the door of the passé composé. The door to the past is still locked, okay? So please take a moment, go to your activity packet, your Unit 4 activity packet, and you want to click on this link. This is a link in your activity packet to a GimKit. And hopefully you're familiar with GimKit. It's basically like multiple choice. And it's kind of like a game where you're trying to earn money for correct answers. It's fake money, right? Yay, capitalism. You're trying to earn money for correct answers and then reach a certain goal of money. So it is, all right. So go ahead and take a moment to do that, and then we'll come back and I'll go through the answers. Okay, so bringing it back, first of all, I want to apologize because there was a pretty significant design flaw with this quiz. So the GimKit is set up so that it's just randomized answers, but you get a little bit of être and a little bit of avoir. And there are some questions where there's 2 right answers, but one of them is just randomly correct and the other is wrong. I apologize. That should not be how it's set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that ASAP, basically during my lunch. so that tonight when you complete it for homework, you won't have that trouble. But hopefully, I was just doing it on my own here, and hopefully you're still able to get a little bit of a sense of the rhythm. And once I fix it, it'll be easier to complete, and it'll be easier to complete too once we've gone over this. So bringing it back, we've got some of these. So please, we're a little short on time, so I'll just go through them. But in a perfect world, I'd ask you to kind of volunteer some different conjugations to see if you remember them. Right? So like, je suis grand, je suis beau, je suis magnifique. Right? You're describing somebody, you're describing yourself. Je suis. Je suis. Tu es grand, tu es beau. You are beautiful. You are tall. Okay? Tu es petit, tu es beau. Je sais pas. Tu es. Elle est grande. Elle est intelligente. Okay? Nous sommes tristes. We are sad that Mr. Hare messed up the quiz. Nous sommes tristes. Vous êtes frustré, peut-être. Maybe you are frustrated because the GimKit had that error, and so it was a little bit frustrating. Ils, elles sont, they are heureux. Elles sont heureuses d'avoir les bonnes réponses. All right, so we've got être. You are probably familiar with about half of these, right? Je suis, tu es, at the very least. You're probably very familiar with those. You've seen them before. For avoir, to have, you know j'ai, because you talk about how old you are, right? J'ai 15 ans. J'ai 16 ans. Tu as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? Quel âge as-tu? You remember that question? Yeah. What year, what age do you have? On a, nous avons, we have no time left in class. I'm running late. I apologize. Nous avons très peu de temps en classe. Vous avez beaucoup de patience. Ils ont travail à faire. Je ne sais pas, okay? So if you want to, you can go ahead and take a screen cap of this for your records so that you can fill those in on your own slide. Remember, you'll be turning in the Unit 4 activities packet, and I'll be expecting this to be complete. You get 10 points. So I think it's, forget how many it is for each thing. All right, screen cap taken, moving and grooving. With that information, this GimKit will be a lot easier, and it might even be more effective. I was wondering if you would be able to guess stuff and if that would be helpful, but maybe this will be a little bit less frustrating now that you have this information. Okay, that's it for this part. Let's go ahead and pop back into here. And I have just a couple small things to say before we then do Wildcats Advisory. Ok, la fin du semestre. C'est la fin du semestre. Nous avons cours aujourd'hui, demain et jeudi. C'est tout. C'est tout. Il n'y a pas de cours vendredi. Pas de cours vendredi. Donc aujourd'hui, nous avons parlé de l'importance des verbes être et avoir. Nous avons révisé les conjugaisons de ces deux verbes. Demain, nous allons faire un travail d'interprétation dans le cahier d'activité module 4. Donc demain, nous allons faire ensemble un travail d'interprétation. Jeudi, nous allons commencer le travail de production de réponses et vous allez terminer et rendre ce travail avant le week-end. So this is kind of the plan for the week, okay? And I'll go through this again tomorrow. Donc pour demain, so for tomorrow, finish the GimKit. Again, I will fix it during lunch, so you can expect it to be ready to go back in at about 2 p.m. at the latest. Okay, it's ready by 2 p.m. at the latest. And then also, pour demain, commence le travail, sortir avec une copine. So this is the work we're going to start on tomorrow, and I'd love for y'all to get a head start tonight just by reading it. You could read through it. And it's slide 20 in your Unit 4 activities packet. All right, so I will end the recording there. And we can go into Wildcat Advisory. So for the recording, I will say au revoir, à demain.